All right, welcome back to Modelesque Mindset. We are talking about posing. Specifically, I want to talk about level 3 and how it can be different from commercial to high fashion posing in level 3. Now, let's do a quick overview. I completely made up these terms. I refer to them as level 1. Also, that could be known as small posing or hanger posing. It's typically going to be for things like line sheets, e commerce, and editorial. So, on the left, you see, I am standing up very tall. I am not bending that torso in any way, shape, or form because we want to make sure that the clothing is exactly how it would look, almost as if it was on a hanger. So that way we can sell it to the buyers or consumers. You see, my arms are down at my side. They are not up on my waist or my hips or touching my hair or above my head because that would alter the way the garment fits my body. On the right, you see three more examples, but are full length. So you can see you can bend your knee a little bit, you can bevel the foot a little bit, but we are not looking to move that torso or the arms really much at all when we are doing level 1 posing. Level 2, again, I made these up. I also refer that to medium posing and mannequin posing. Typically, this is going to be for things like lookbook, e-commerce, and again, editorial. So you can see here there's a bit more movement, but we're still essentially standing up very straight and tall and facing towards the camera. You could do a side shot or a back shot when it comes to things like e-commerce. But you see here, even with my arms lifted up on my hips, on the left, we see this is more of a commercial kind of vibe. And on the right, although I am essentially doing the same exact pose, it's different. So my legs are spread in both, but on the right, it's spread a little bit more on my right leg, creating this nice little dimension. And I've got my hip tilt, which is also taking my arms and making them two different angles and creating an angle in my shoulders. Whereas on the left, I am still very straight and upright. Commercial is going to typically be a little bit more straight and upright in that level 2, whereas fashion, you can have a little more dimension. Moving on to level 3, this is also referred to as large poses or model poses. This is going to be your lifestyle and editorial. So, what is the difference between a commercial editorial and a high fashion editorial? Because at the end of the day, editorial doesn't always mean high fashion. Editorial means that it's a spread of photos meant to tell some type of story. So, you could have a beauty editorial, a hair editorial, a commercial editorial, but typically we call those things lifestyle shoots. So, that's where it can get confusing, and that's why I wanted to clarify. You see here, I have a bent body on the very left photo. We are bending that torso. We are changing the dimensions of the clothing. You see how I have my knee lifted up and you can see the hem of the pants is hitting my mid calf. That's not where it hits when I stand in that outfit, but because I am bent like this, I have raised that hemline. And so that's what I mean by altering the clothing. When you move, it changes how it sits on your body. And you see, I'm closed off a lot, so we can't really see how the front of this overall garment looks. And you can't see the details of the shirt underneath the overalls. And that's totally fine. That is okay in level 3 because we are more about selling the vibes and the feelings than about selling the clothing like we are in level 2 and level 1. So this is to buyers typically, this is more to consumers, and this is all the fun stuff, the social media, and any on camera commercials would be included in this posing as well. So, in a commercial versus high fashion, you see both of these photos have movement in them. They're both full length. They're both taking up a lot of the screen, but they're completely different photos. So you can be doing the same poses and be doing the same idea, but what's going to make it different, not just the styling and the background, is also going to be your facial expressions and the energy that you bring to that specific shot. So you see on the left, I'm whipping my hair around and I've got my hands on my waist and the legs are in a very power stance. Whereas on the right, I'm using the dress to create the motion instead of whipping my hair around. And we've got a big smile towards the camera. And these are very different photos, but at the end of the day, they're the same. We're going for big movement. So a photographer may say to you on both of these shoots, give me big movement, but they mean two different things depending on what vibes you're trying to go for. And that's why you want to make sure you are communicating at the shoots with the photographer, with the designer, with the client, with whomever, to make sure that you've seen the mood board or you've been given some references so you know what types of posing they are looking for. And that way you can all be happy at the end of the day. Another example here, I'm basically doing the same exact pose, and both are implied nudity. But on the left, you see it is absolutely not sexual in any way, shape, or form. We are only seeing the back of my shoulder and the rest of my back, and we're selling these face wipes here. In the next photo, we are showing more of the curve of the breast, and so it's a little bit more sexually charged, but it's still not super sexy. It's about the makeup and being down to earth. So we just went with skin, but they're the same pose, but completely different. So again, the photographer on both these shoots could give you the same direction of, look over the shoulder or bring that shoulder up into your face, but they're completely different vibes, even though they're basically the same pose. Another example of that here, I've got my legs wide out, like I'm taking a very large step. My arms are spread a little bit away from my body, taking up more room in the frame in both images. In both images, my hair is getting some nice wind in the air because I really was jumping in both photos. And in both photos, I am looking directly into the camera, yet they are entirely different photos. So the photographer could say to you at either one of these, take a big step, get some movement, look in the camera. But you see here, they're completely different. And so this is why it's so essential that you are doing that research even before castings, because when you go to that casting, you want to make sure you're already carrying those vibes in with you. So this is why I say you should look at their Instagram. If they have a TikTok, look at their website, especially, and look at their lifestyle photos and their ecom photos, whatever you're going in for the casting for, look that up. And you want to try and emulate at least the vibes. You don't have to be trying to copycat, but you just want to pick up those vibes and feelings, because you see here, these two photos are the exact same pose, but they're completely different vibes. And it's not just the styling and the background, it's the energy, it's the vibes, it's little tweaks in the pose with the way my arms are. The way they're up on the beach one, it looks like I'm running and frolicking. The way they're out at the fashion-y one just is a typical great big fashion step, like you're walking across the streets of New York or something. Again, another comparison, we have the dancer pose. On the left, this is an editorial, and the way I'm grabbing the foot very delicately at the toes with just a very light hand, the fingers are very open, it's not gripping or anything, is making the vibe different in the pose compared to on the right. We see I'm holding more on the calf, and I'm doing this in more of a yoga dancer pose kind of way. So I'm trying to look very strong and very balanced. And they're technically like kind of the same pose, but wildly different. And this is what I really want to point out to you guys. Again, here we have pretty much the exact same pose. So my hands are flipped backwards on my hips, but on the left, you see I'm smiling. I've got the shoulders at they're even length, one even length. And then I've got one foot out a little bit, and it's very playful, very happy. And on the right side, you see I've tilted my shoulders a little bit to give it some more attitude, and I've touched the knees together to create more of that hourglass shape, accentuating my waist and making it more of a sexy, edgy fashion pose. But they're the exact same pose. So level 3 posing can be in any type of job or booking or casting, from commercial clients to your high fashion clients. You are doing a lot of the same poses, but it's these little tweaks in your energy, your facial expressions, and sometimes little tweaks in the poses. Like you see the difference in the legs here. Again, on the floor, a quick one for you. On the left, I'm supposed to be even a little bit moody. You know, we were looking at all these other ones where the commercial's been pretty happy. This one, I'm very moody, but it's still like a happy moody. I'm just like a sad, I don't know, I'm sitting on the floor by myself. Where on the right, I'm like a fierce moody. I've got model fierceness going on. On the left, I'm not trying to look so modelly, but I'm essentially doing the same exact thing in both photos. But they're wildly different because, again, those facial expressions and these little things make a huge difference. And this is why you should also be practicing in the mirror and practice with your camera with a timer. There's apps, or get a friend. Again, here, same pose. My hands in my hair, my head is angled down. I'm looking into the camera. The other arm is touching one of my legs, and I'm sitting on a ledge on the left and on a sink on the right. They're basically the same exact pose, but they're wildly different vibes because on the left, I've got a big smile and a lot of joy going on, but also you can see the hand in my hair is very curled. It's very relaxed. It's like, hey, I'm hanging at the beach and my friend said my name and I lifted up my head and moved my hair very casually out of the way to look at them and smile at them. Whereas on the right side, you see my hand is a little more straight. The fingers are a little bit less relaxed. They still feel relaxed. They're not tense, but they are not as relaxed as the left side photo where I'm very beachy, fun, relaxed. This is more of a I'm in my bathroom relaxed and the fingers are straighter up. And it's the tiniest difference between the two, but that little thing adds to creating more of a high fashion look with this one. And then also the facial expression I'm giving, even though my head is the same in both, pointed down, angled down, looking at the camera, they're very different facial expressions. I've got one more for you. Here I'm holding my hair between my fingers. And on the left, you see I'm pulling the hair and my head is very straight to the camera. It's not angled. And the hair, I'm pulling it out and away. So it's a little bit of tension and it's a little bit of aggression. And I've got like my eyebrow raised and I'm giving you a dirty, fierce look. And you can see that my pointer finger and my thumb are very straight up. So it's a very like precise pulling of my hair. I'm not just pulling on my hair like in a ditzy valley girl way. I'm pulling on my hair in like a badass way. But then on the right, I go into my valley girl mode. And so it's very playful. And I am not pulling against my head. I'm leaning into it. You see how my head is tilted. So there is no tension where I'm pulling my hair. I'm not necessarily pulling it, I'm playing with it. But I'm essentially doing the same thing. They're both holding the hair away from my head with my elbow at my waist. But this one is playing rather than pulling. And you see my fingers are a lot more relaxed while holding that hair. And you can see my face. I'm still making a smirk in both of them. I've still got my eyebrow raised in both of them. But on the right side, it is a more warm smirk and a more warm eyebrow raise, which, sounds crazy, but you can see it is very doable. And it's not just the clothing and the makeup, it's the vibes that you are giving off from the inside out. I've got just a few more examples on the screen for you. So on the left, I want to point out that it could even be in black and white. This is my commercial side for you guys. The right side is the more editorial side. So on the left, you see we have black and white, and I even have this like bent over pose at the top. And it's a little awkward, but in commercial ones, you're doing like a playful awkward. You're never really doing like an awkward model awkward. Whereas you see on the right side, the black and white one, I've just got my leg like lifted in the air for no good reason. like no good reason. It's just up there so you can see the boot. And that's something we do in high fashion. We do these random poses where we'll just stick our leg in the air or our arms or some weird pose, and it works because it's high fashion. And you don't necessarily do those kinds of weird, funky, awkward, out of the box things in commercial, but you may do some awkward, playful poses like this one with me bending over. And then you see also at the bottom on the commercial side on the left, I even have my leg kicked up and it's very festive as I'm in this very sparkly, festive outfit. But you wouldn't put your leg up the way that you then hook your foot onto the kneecap in that flamingo style pose that is very fun to do in high fashion. So even though in both you are lifting your leg up, they're different in terms of small amount of the placement of where your foot goes makes a huge difference in bringing it more commercial or more into that high fashion kind of vibes. So I hope this helped you to understand more about level 3 posing. If you have any comments or any questions, please put them in the comments so I can make a video that answers your questions. This is all about helping you to understand the modeling industry more based on all the experience I have had. And I would love it if you subscribe and have a wonderful day.